And we are live. I don't even have my microphone over by me. Hello, guys, and welcome to Jason Heber Live. If you are not familiar with the show, what we do is interview the loved ones of either missing persons and or unsolved crimes in an effort to help spread awareness. As you can probably tell by the chat room off to the side, our show is interactive, which is one of the things that distinguishes us from some of the other true crime guys and gals out there. So as we talk about the case, you can ask live questions. The other thing that distinguishes us is we bring on the guests that are actually involved in the cases. So we have the mothers, the children, you get the story directly from the horse's mouth versus, somebody telling you a secondhand story or something like that. So those are a couple things that distinguish us from the other shows on YouTube. So if that sounds like something that interests you, please click subscribe below and set the notification bell to all. And we have our people stacking up as notifications go out. We got about 40 people in here. So let's wait a few more minutes till we get a few more people before we start going over some of the basics of the case. Hello to, looks like we have a good mix, we're up to 50, of some of our everyday guys and gals and new people. Nails, Hope, Noel, Kitty, hello to Cheryl, Edna, longtime fan, Indigo Eyes, E Squared. Got a good amount of names I know here. Laughing Hawk, what's up, my friend? Got quite a few people in here as I wait for these notifications to go up. Since we were a little late, I don't think we're on Facebook. Typically, we broadcast to YouTube, primarily YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We started doing recently. So, but as of right now, I think it is just YouTube and Twitch. So hello to both of those platforms if you're joining from either of those. Excuse me. While we wait, I'll go over a couple of quick things on the channel while we wait for some more people to come in. Starting probably tomorrow or the next day, we will have channel memberships. So we're still kind of working out. People who join and become a member of the channel will get an extra stream a week or either every other week or every week, depending on which platform or tier you sign up for. So that will happen shortly. And one thing that's really cool is there are going to be loyalty badges. So for every month you are a member, your badge increases and you get a cooler, newer one. And you'll also get special icons to use in chat. So you can show off and show people that you are a loyal fan. So those are starting soon. YouTube just approved that for us. So I think that's going to be really cool on our channel because we are a very chat-based channel where you can really express your opinion and ask your questions in the chat. So look very shortly and we will have memberships. So I'll do a video on that once we get started. We're up to about 70 people, decent amount. So let me start to go over some of the basics of the case before we bring on our guest. Now we have the mother of Sam Reyes tonight. Her name is Lanay. She's going to be telling you a little bit of a background about her son, and then she'll lead us into exactly what happened when he went missing, which was not too long ago. So as I read his story, let me go ahead and share my screen so that you guys can read along with me. Unless you're, of course, just listening to the audio version. No, Megan, there will not be extra cases for the members. I was thinking about that, but I think that's not fair to those cases because then my whole goal is to get them out to as many eyes as possible. So I don't think I can be like, yeah, I'm only going to be able to show you guys to my members as a specialty. I think that's very selfish for me to do. So maybe extra info or extra things, but I can't restrict people like that. But we'll figure that out shortly. But there's going to be a couple different membership tiers, so that would be awesome. You are not late at all, Melissa. We are 4 minutes into the live, but I'm just now starting to, as you know, I give it a few minutes before we go over everything. Hi, Sherry, to make sure that everyone gets the basics. So let's get started now that we're at about 80 people. Dallas mother joins search for son who disappeared days before his new soldier army orientation. Now, this comes from ksat.com, so credit to them. That's the article I will be reading here. And I just want to be clear, anything I read from them is their opinion. And if there is anything incorrect or that she feels is incorrect, Lanay will correct us, of course. But anything said, whether it's in the article or by myself, actually, I can't speak for the article, whether everything that's said by myself or by Lanay. It is, we make no hard accusations, okay? Everything is alleged, and anyone whose name may be mentioned, of course, is innocent until proven guilty. So we make no accusations here. This is simply just a grieving loved one trying to piece together what they do know to help bring their loved one home. So let's get started. Before his disappearance, Samuel Reyes called 911, fearing someone was coming to get him. San Antonio. A Dallas mother is desperate to find her son who disappeared while with family in San Antonio days before his new soldier army orientation. Lanay Cohen has been in San Antonio since Sunday, passing out missing persons flyers and combing through areas where she believes her son, 32-year-old Samuel Reyes, was last seen. Sam is my firstborn, Cohen said. He is an amazing man. He had a lot going on for him. He just enlisted in the Army and was supposed to go to boot camp in January. Cohen said she always had a close relationship with her son, and they talked daily. I'm just so afraid and want him to come home, Cohen said. We stayed in touch every day, and if not, then every other day. Cohen said she lost contact with him 2 or 3 days before he disappeared. He was supposed to go to New Orleans, New Orleans. He was supposed to go to new soldier orientation on December 14th, and then on the 15th, I couldn't reach him, Cohen said. I wanted to see how his orientation went, so I called his dad and stepmom, and they said he had gone missing on the night of the 11th or on the morning of the 12th. This is very recent, guys. At the time of reading this, it is only January 1st. So we're talking a couple weeks here, 2.5 weeks or so. Cohen said she then reached out to his Army recruiters. They told me he was a no-call, no-show, Cohen said. I checked his phone records and activities, and nothing. He left his phone, his wallet. He left everything behind, and that is not normal. He is just gone. Cohen said they filed a police report with the San Antonio Police Department. There's very little to no leads, but the detective on this case has been amazing, Cohen said. And to interject real quick, I have to say I'm relieved to hear that. You hear a lot of people dealing with authorities that aren't quite happy with the job that they're doing. So it is nice when you do get a parent or, let's say, a loved one who has something positive to say once in a while. Lets us know that there are people out there who care. And I hope that that is what we, talking to everyone in the chat today, what we can show Lanay, guys, is that there are a lot of us who care, and we're going to do everything we can to help you, Lanay. There's very little to no leads, but the detective on this case has been amazing, Cohen said. I was worried that they were not going to help because of Christmas. That's understandable. But they are doing everything they can to help find Sam. Tequis EquiSearch, a volunteer nonprofit organization dedicated to searching for missing people, is also assisting the family with the search. I'll read a little bit more of this, guys, then we'll bring Lanay on. The important thing is getting the words from her mouth, not the article. A little bit of a toothache, sorry. They're helping with drones and ATVs and everything, Cohen said. Whatever it is going to take to find Sam, we are not going to stop until we find him. Cohen said she and her family have been searching around bodies of water in the 200 block of Lake Crystal Street, near the home of Reyes' grandmother, where he was last seen. There's a lot of water behind her home, Cohen said. Several lakes and a bunch of wooded areas and brushes. We came out here and walked this trail for hours, and we didn't see anything, but he could possibly still be here. He could possibly be here. Cohen said she was told drugs may be involved in her son's disappearance. I had been told to prepare for some of that, Cohen said. I hope it is not that. I hope he just decided to walk away and take a break and figure out what he wants to do with himself. That's what I'm hoping too, Lanay. She said her last conversation with her son was on December 10th. He told me he was looking forward to going into the Army, and he would let me know how orientation went, Cohen said. He was supposed to fly on Friday to spend the holidays with us before he went to the Army. I got to see him in October when my mom passed away, but this was going to be a special Christmas for us. So I'm so sorry that she wasn't able to do that. Looks like we're almost at the end, so we'll finish up here. Cohen said his grandmother saw him last and recalled him saying someone was coming to get him. She reported that the night before he disappeared, he called 911, Cohen said. Police came to the property but didn't know why. She told them he was disoriented and was hiding in the closet, And it was saying someone was coming to get him. The only thing I could think of was that he was maybe under the influence or something happened. Like, why would he do that? Then for him to disappear with the door open, it makes you... Sorry, guys, that's my fridge. It makes that noise. I don't know if you can hear that. It's odd. Let's give it just a moment. New fridge. Then for him to disappear with the door open, it makes you fearful that somebody did come and get him. That's for sure. Cohen, who said she would stay as long as possible to find her son, is pleading with the community to speak up if they have seen anything. If you see his picture or anyone looks like him, just call, Cohen said. we just got to find him safe and sound, or even if he's not, we need to know we can find him. Just say something. If you have my son, please give him back. Spare his life for us if he's alive. He's a great guy. Just have a heart and give him back. Cohen also had a message to Reyes if he is alive and watching her search efforts. Sam, if you see this, I love you. And no matter what has happened or what you have done, it is okay, Cohen pleaded. I just want to find you and know that you are alive. Just let someone know you're okay. Call anyone to let us know that you are okay. So really heartbreaking stuff, guys, to hear right from her words. And now that we're at about 100 people, this is a good point to bring her on. Lanay, that's heartbreaking enough just reading the words. So I can only, it's going to be even more so speaking to you. And I just want to say my heart goes out to you. And I'm so sorry for what you're going through. And as I mentioned earlier, I want you to know we already have 100 people here. I'm sure more will be coming in. You have a lot of people here to support you.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Just listening to you read that, it's really hard. It's really hard to hear it, but it's been a really long journey since we arrived in San Antonio. Like you mentioned from the article, I basically didn't know he was even missing until I tried to reach out to him several times. And then on the 15th, finally, I had reached out. The 14th, I tried to reach him. That was the day of his new soldier orientation, and he didn't respond. And then I reached out to his dad and his stepmom who live in San Antonio and said, hey, have you guys heard anything from Sam? I'm starting to be a little concerned. And at that time, it was disturbing, but, the stepmom said, didn't the grandma call you? And I was like, no, what do you mean, did the grandma call me? I was like, what's happening? What's going on? And at that time is when she said that Sam apparently had gone missing on the morning of the 12th. And basically nobody had heard or seen from him since. So, as I really try to dive into all the details and everything, the story was not really making sense. The grandmother is a little, I wouldn't say delusional, but she takes a lot of medications and she's not always very clear and coherent with her story. So different days and different times I would get a different thing. So, after a couple of days, I had to finish working. I was, on my job, and I was calling everybody, the recruiters, anybody that, might know something, and nobody had heard anything. So on the weekend, I finally just went ahead and said, I have to go to San Antonio to find my son. This is, a week. It's been a week now, and this is not okay. As you mentioned, I talked to him almost daily, and I knew that he had that orientation on the 14th. So, I figured over the weekend maybe I couldn't reach him because he was spending some time with a girlfriend that he, had recently had a relationship with. And so it wasn't really until that Monday when the orientation happened and into Tuesday that I started really feeling something was wrong. Um, once I got into San Antonio, I went directly to the grandma's house and tried to understand what was happening. She allowed me to come in, and the room that he was staying in, all of his belongings were there. His suitcase was there. He had his cell phone, his wallet. She had told us initially that he had left the house with no shoes on, and I thought that just doesn't make any sense. So it wasn't until a couple of days, well, almost a week later after that, I found out through the missing persons department at the SAPD that there was an anonymous tip that was given by this Town East Baptist Church, which was about a mile or so away from the grandma's house. And, they had received a call that somebody had seen him on the morning he disappeared. But nobody from the missing persons department had actually gone to the church, I guess, to see any footage. But I wanted to go see for myself. I wanted to see, was this really my son that was there? Because the circumstances when he left the grandma's was that, the night before, the grandma said that he was, acting like a panic attack, having some anxiety. And then she said that the police arrived at her house close to midnight, and she didn't even know that they had been called. But when they went to his room, to the room where he was staying, and they opened the door, he was hiding in the closet. Um, she didn't know what was going on. Apparently, the police had interviewed him and asked him, what the circumstances were. And my understanding is that
They interviewed him when he was in the closet, right? When they
yes,
came over. Okay.
and this is all like secondhand information, but we did try to get records from the police and the 911 to kind of make sure that this is accurate. Um, they did say that, he was having an anxiety attack, that he mentioned that, he was fearful that somebody might be coming to get him. And he also had said to them that he just, was feeling really anxious.
Can I just real quick? I just want to make sure we keep up with the questions in the chat and things like that as well. Plus, I have similar questions. So, what is the history here? And anything you don't want to answer, you don't have to, but just to make sure for the sake of thoroughness, anything from anxiety attacks to drug usage to mental illness, to anything along the is the history, if any, with each of those?
So unfortunately, he has had a past of maybe bipolar disorder diagnosis.
Okay.
We lived in California before. Earlier this year, we moved to Texas, and Sam decided he was going to stay in California. Once we left and we moved to Texas, and he stayed there, he started having some bizarre behavioral type things there, and I suspected that he was using drugs at that time. Of course, I wasn't there, and due to COVID, I couldn't really understand what was happening. But at that time, he pretty much had decided he did not want to stay in California, and he wanted to go ahead and come to Texas, maybe visit with his family, and eventually come and spend some time with me in Prosper, Texas, where we moved. Um, the thing is, based on his behavior, and the fact that he seemed to be very paranoid the night before he disappeared, I started to be really concerned. I started reading and doing all kinds of like, investigating on my own to understand, like, maybe a drug could cause this paranoia. And, it seemed like there's a lot of meth involvement in this area of Lakeside, in the San Antonio area.
Okay.
Um, so, I feel like that's what happened. I felt like he started using meth or something that would cause his paranoia.
That was my first thought. Of course, I'm from the outside looking in, but as someone who deals with a lot of cases similar to this, that was my first thought. Just for what it's worth.
Right. And I'll be honest with you, once I arrived and I got all of his devices, his phone, his laptop, everything, his wallet, um, I was able to get into both phones. He apparently was using two phones, his iPhone, which is his primary device, and then he had a Samsung device that I was able to crack the code to get into. He pretty much used the same code on everything, so I knew what that was. And once I got into that second phone, I did find evidence that there was drug usage going on.
Okay.
Um, so on the iPhone, I went back and I traced like all of his text messages, his phone calls, his Lyft history, everything. And there was one individual that I think maybe had sold him drugs of some sort. I don't know for sure. And it appeared that he had gone towards her area on December 7th, and that was his last Lyft history ride. It went from his grandma's house to that area and then back to his grandma's house later in the day. Um, Also on the 8th, he had gone to his girlfriend's house. So on the 7th, he supposedly met up. I'm guessing, this is an assumption, okay? But it looked like he might have met up with this one person that I've already given the information to, missing persons. And on the 8th to the 10th, he went to the girlfriend's. So she came and picked him up. She broke up with him while he was there because she also said that his behavior was not normal. He acted like he might have been under the influence and his eyes were dilated.
So she
So
was not someone, as far as we know, that would have been into that lifestyle. So she would.
not that I know of. She's active duty Army, and
Okay.
she was a big influence as far as why my son, also decided to go ahead and join. I think she was like more a mentor, and he was actually, I thought, pretty happy in that relationship. But based on talking with her, she said that she told him, I can't be with somebody that's going to be like this. I have my career and I have to go to work, and I'm going to need to take you back to your grandma's where maybe she picked him up from.
Okay.
So she returned him home, she said, on the 10th, which was a Thursday. And I know on that Thursday is the last day that, me, my daughter, some of the family had actually spoke with Sam. And that day, it seemed like he was pretty normal. Like, he seemed excited. He didn't sound like he was under the influence. It was just kind of hard to think that there was anything wrong. But then, since the girlfriend said she broke up with him on the 10th, I noticed looking at his phone, soon as she brought him back to the grandma's house, looking at his phone call history, he started making a lot of phone calls to pharmacies. He called like 5, 6 pharmacies in a row. I don't know what he was calling the pharmacy for, but I thought maybe it was somebody he was trying to reach out to, and that wasn't the case. And then
Couldn't have been something like a medicine that because of his usage.
to be honest, I don't know, but the girlfriend did say that while he was there with her, he had said that his back had been hurting.
Okay.
And so I just assumed that, maybe he had gotten a prescription for something for his backache or something, and maybe he was trying to fill that.
All right. And was he
Maybe he,
currently in the military, Wallace?
I'm sorry.
Was he currently in the military? I know she was.
No.
No.
He
Okay.
enlisted back in the end of November, and he swore in. He was supposed to ship to boot camp on January 11th, which is 10 days from now. And he had gone to the medical examiners, and he was cleared medically, which I know they do drug testing and all of that. So that's another reason that I had no idea or possible thinking that he was using drugs during this time.
Right.
But he was cleared to go, and everything seemed to be in order until this thing happened. um, and the night on the 11th, looking at his phone records at 11:38, 11:39, 40, 41, like all the way to 47, there was a consecutive series of phone calls from his phone to the SAPD and the 911, like back to back. There was like 3 series of those dialed calls. And I think that's the reason, obviously, that the police were dispatched to the grandma's house. At that point, nobody had seen his phone or anything. Nobody had any sort of history on anybody else that would have come to the house or anything. So fast forward to the police have already come. They've already seen him. The EMS arrived to assess his medical condition. The grandma was there. She said that they checked his heart rate. They checked his blood pressure. His heart rate was very high. His blood pressure was very high. They talked to him. They calmed him down. And then they asked him, did he want to go to the hospital for evaluation? He said no. He didn't want to go. He would be okay. So at that time, I guess they went ahead and made the decision to let him stay, and they left. Um, the grandma said she sat with him on the couch, trying to understand if he was okay. He did say to her that he feels like he was a failure. He tried his best, Grandma. I don't know what I did. I don't know where all that came from. I mean, now it's like moved to depression, and you know, it was very heartbreaking for me to hear that he just told his grandma that. And when I'm thinking everything's okay, and I hadn't heard from him.
Sounds like
But
he maybe due to the mental things he was going through, plus maybe a little usage. He was just having a down day. So sometimes I say this only just to reassure you. He might not have truly felt he was like a failure. It might have just been a bad day, kind of. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah,
just you know.
I know. And I think the grandma said that she wanted to stay up with him as long as possible, that he was now laying on her couch. and that she pretty much had decided after he was either resting or calm that she was going to go ahead and go to bed. So that time, I don't know what time it was, but she said that around 7:45 in the morning, she heard a knock at the door, which woke her up. And her room is in the back of the house. But she said when she got up to walk out to see who was at the door was open and Sam was gone. And she said that she remember when she went to bed, he was only wearing shorts, a t-shirt, and socks. And she was fearful that he left in that same condition because when she went to the room, everything was still in place. Um, so that was on the morning of the 12th. At that time, she called, she said she went outside. She went outside her front door, walked around outside, looked around, didn't see anything. So she immediately contacted her son, which is his dad, and said, I don't know what happened, but Sam's gone. I don't know where he's at. He left, and all of his stuff is still here. So at that point, like I said, I was in Prosper, and I didn't even know about any of this stuff until literally on the 14th or 15th, the 15th, when I finally got in touch with the dad and stepmom to say, have you heard from him? I don't know what's going on. Once I arrived and everything, checked out his belongings and got into his phone and started like contacting everybody, there's no trace. Like it just doesn't make any sense, even in both phones. Even though there was some prior activity, there was no phone calls, there was nothing, no text messages, no emails. His bank accounts had not been used. It's like not something that he typically would have done.
So Mizura makes I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly. Sorry, Mizura makes a point that comes up often in these kind of cases. So he could possibly be in a mental facility. I don't know if it varies by state, but I know most states, if not all, are very careful. They can't really give out information on if they have a patient, even if you're the parent or something. But there's a group we work with called Be United Missing Persons. Check them out, guys. The links are in the description, by the way. They're awesome. But they often recommend to send flyers for them to put up if there are any facilities in that area where he was, because even if the staff can't directly give you info, anyone who may have seen him in the area will then call you. So it's possible he could have just maybe needed a break, especially if he had mental issues on top of some usage. So have you considered that? Let me kind of ask you like a 2 or 3 part question. Have you considered doing that as well as looking into like even, I know he wasn't homeless, but like homeless camps or shelters or anywhere he would have needed to get away? Have you considered all those options, or even hospitals?
Yes, actually, every day. I actually work in a hospital myself. I've contacted all the hospitals in the area. I've contacted to ask about the psych units. I've contacted the jails, the magistrate's office, even the medical examiner to see if they had anybody that was picked up as an unidentified male. And also missing persons claims that they're doing the same. But every day it's the same answer. They don't have anybody. We try to check, the homeless areas, the encampments underneath bridges and in the wooded areas where local people here said that there's a lot of drug activity. You might want to just check those areas and see what you can find. I mean, we've been here now for 10 days, 10 days, solid, and we've been exhausting. We're going in the same circles every day, and we have no idea where to look. We just feel like lost. And, I find it hard to believe if he really just left like that with no shoes and nothing, there would have been some way for him to contact me. He's always, even when he's had like some, minor issues in the past, within a couple of days, he's always found a way to get in touch with me. And this is 20 days now. So I don't know. I'm starting to really be scared that this is something that I don't want to know what's happened to him.
Right. Yeah, and I say this all the time, but if you need a moment to step off camera, just so you know, by all means, there's no rush in any of this. Take your time, because I couldn't even imagine being in your shoes. So please, whatever makes you comfortable. If you need.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've just cried so much that I feel like there's no more tears. I feel like I'm just so numb, and I just want to find him at this point. Like, it's so hard.
But someone made a good point. I'm sorry, Melissa right on the screen. Melissa Moore makes a good point that it doesn't take a lot to trigger a relapse. So maybe the fact that he just got broken up with, maybe that could be a reason for him to maybe needed some time away. I'm just trying to think of things that would lead to a positive outcome,
Yeah.
reasoning. Because and that's the positive in this case. For as sad and as scary as it is, at least we have a lot of things that seem to point towards him possibly needing some time away. Do you know what I mean? Versus he just
Yeah.
disappeared off the face of the earth. Although he did, but you know what I'm trying to say.
No, I get it, and that's the thing. Normally, I would probably start to believe that, but as a mother's instinct and the gut instinct tells me otherwise, and that's the reason why I just feel like I need to get more coverage out there. Um, I've been talking to people, homeless people myself. They've been giving me like ideas of where other places to check if it was drug related, you know, but it's just nothing is like giving us any answers. And SAPD, while they started out strong, like there was a detective in their missing person department. Her name is Patricia Dominguez, and she really was great. She started out, she was really concerned. She followed up with me. And then yeah, we had Christmas and then we have New Year's, and the other people that have been taking over, they don't follow up with me. They don't really contact me if there's any leads or information. We did add a $10,000 reward for any leads that will, you know, lead us to Sam. And we haven't even gotten any leads. It's like, I don't understand. I expected something. Like someone would like, even to try and just get the money, would come up with some kind of a story.
Right.
Um, we had one bogus lead. It was a text message, and I forwarded that to them, and they determined that it was just probably, a young person that's just trying to, get some money out of the situation, but they never followed through with
It's
any
a
of their
shame.
demands.
Yeah, it's a shame. I know what you're saying. At least it's something, but it's a shame how many people are sick enough to make stories up like that to try to get money or something. This Ben, I just want to bring this up quick because, like I said, for the sake of thoroughness, you try to get everything answered we can. But a lot of people saying, I guess I don't know anything about the military, but they're saying you can't join it if you are using drugs or if you're confirmed to be bipolar. So a lot of people asking, how did he get in? Did he lie on his forms? I don't know that that's so much relevant, but do we know what's the situation there as far as him having those issues and
Well, I'm retired Air Force myself. I did 22 years in the military, and I know that my son wanted to, do something with himself. And it was a long time before he finally made that decision to, go into the Army or to the branch of the military. Um, I don't know. I mean, he went to MEPS, he told me that everything was clear. He told me that he passed his drug screen, he passed, his physical exam. He went through all the questions. If he was dishonest about it, I wouldn't have any idea about that. But I was very hopeful that this was going to be the turning point for him to really have a great successful career, because he's 32. And it took him a while, but he seemed very happy, very focused about it, and he did this on his own free will. Like, I wasn't even around when he made that choice and did all of that.
mm,
But
okay.
yeah, I mean, normally if you're bipolar or you have problems, you're not going to make it past MEPS. You're not. And so I don't know how he would have been able to manipulate or deceive people to get that far.
Okay. A lot of people asking how they can help. Mizera specifically says there's something on Facebook we could share, and I'll throw in if you have just anything, whether it's something on Facebook or anyone who may be local to the area. We have, like I said, at least a few hundred people coming in and out of here so far. Is there anything you want to let people know that they can do to help? Because you're doing an amazing job, by the way, but you're only one person. So what more help can you use for both local people and online?
I mean, I've been told by everybody who's been involved with missing person cases that, share, just keep sharing anything, anywhere, because we don't know if he got in a car. We don't know if he's in this area. At this point, we just need to find him. And it's like we are only focusing on a 5 to 10 mile radius because this is all we know for certain that he was here. But you never know. I mean, I've heard stories like maybe he's in Mexico already. Maybe he got picked up. San Antonio is not that far away, and there's a lot of drug cartel type things and trafficking and all the things that you don't want to hear. And I guess we just got to keep sharing. And if you see anything, just you got to call. You got to call the police or call somebody to let them know to look into this.
And we talked a lot about the police. A lot of people asking, have you tried to hire a private investigator? And also, have you taken the route of seeing if the girlfriends know any of his other friends? Looking through. I know you said you got some of his phones, but have you looked through all his social media? How far have you gone for those angles?
Unfortunately, I have not hired a private investigator. We did have an individual who does his own kind of missing person searching in this area. He's been doing it for a number of years. And we did get EcuSearch, who brought out drones, who did fly drones of the lake area.
Right.
We had Alamo Search and Rescue come out. I think it was like right before Christmas. And unfortunately, because of the time that had passed from that footage when he was seen on the 12th, they said that there's not a lot that they could do without any real direction. So they had horses go out. They had one dog go out just to kind of see if, they could find anything, but it was nothing. Some private property owners, we went to every business. We went to houses, we put up flyers at the bus stations. I mean, I honestly think that we've done a lot, as to get this out there. And I find it so hard to believe in this small lakeside area, if he was there, somebody would have said something. So now I'm starting to fear that he's not there. You know what I mean?
Right. And there is a group that I don't want to recommend them yet, because to me that's kind of a last resort, but I only bring them up because there was a lot specified about the bodies of water and stuff in the original article I read. But if you've ever heard of Adventures with Purpose, they're supposed to be like the best in the biz at helping people do that.
Okay, you can send me the information, please.
Yeah, and I've talked his name. I don't know if he's the owner or the leader, but he's one of the higher up guys. I've spoken to him directly by email, and he says, "Oh, I really like your channel and stuff. If you have any cases where we can be of use, please send it along to me." So I definitely will. Again, that's a last resort kind of thing. We don't want to even.
There is one other thing that I want to mention, and this was kind of more of a icing on the cake for me to decide I have to come out to San Antonio. I have a niece who's a therapist in Tennessee, and she works with a lot of mediums. She actually had reached out to 3 of them and showed him initially the flyer and the information. And I know that I don't typically, necessarily believe in psychics, but, the information that they gave me back on the read was very morbid. They said that he was deceased and that he had had an overdose, and he was by a water area and a wooded area around it. And that is like all of Lakeside. Like every area possible is exactly that. So once they did give me that reading, and they were like so definite. They said, "Give my condolences to the family." I'm like, how can you be telling somebody that to that
Yeah,
level? Like that
exactly.
was so hard for me.
I never take a stance on this because I don't know what do I know, but it really bugs me when they do it in that way. Like, fine, if you really do think you have some kind of, or maybe if you really do, what do I know, have some kind of connection to that, then you're trying to help, fine. But when they make it so absolutely certain, I think it does just as much harm as good, if not much more. So I wouldn't be too disheartened by that, honestly,
It was
Lanay.
just very disturbing, and I was actually initially just going to let it play out for a little bit. But, once they tell you something like that and you've had no contact, it's like, you have to go. You have to find your son. Like if he's laying in a ditch somewhere or, deceased by a water and no one's gonna go and look for him, it's like.
Well, see, what they don't realize, because they contact me a lot. I probably, at this point, as the channel continues to grow, every case, I probably get a minimum like 3 of them. Sometimes it's up to like 10 if it's a bigger one. but they don't realize that every one of them says something different. So I don't know that, like, what am I supposed to do when I get 8 of them saying, can you tell, I'm just making it up. Can you tell Lanay it was a guy in a blue shirt and he's in a body of water? And then the second email says, can you tell Lanay it was a guy that had orange shoes and he's in a mountain? It's like, what am I supposed to do? Just start throwing all this, so I don't get, it's not very helpful when they.
I know, but it sure doesn't help you when you're trying to be positive,
Right.
and you
That's
hear
what I
that.
mean. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. Yeah.
And the thing that bothers me a lot is that church where he showed up. So on the morning of the 12th, the grandma's timeline, remember, she said at 7:45 she heard a knock at the door. Well, according to the camera footage at the church, he was actually there from 6:48 until 7:10.
Really?
Okay? Yes, and clearly you see in the footage he was wearing shorts, he had socks, he had no shoes on, and a black hoodie sweatshirt. So we were able to sit there and follow the footage all the way until he literally ran across the highway at 7:10. So we went to the
So
pawn
what?
shop that was across the way, trying to get more footage to see, did he go left or did he go
So
right?
wait a minute. I'm sorry. So he's at the church at 6 something till 7:10, and then
Yeah,
she's saying a half an hour later he's at home. So he went from the church back to the house. Is that what she's saying? I know.
we have no idea because remember she takes medication. Her
All right.
timeline's off. We don't even know if that's right. But what we do know is the time he was at the church. So, my thought was maybe he went back to the house. Maybe he got his shoes, but he still left everything else. Like, okay, that doesn't make sense to me. Like if he was, in his right mind to think I got to go get some shoes, you would think he would have grabbed his backpack, his, all of his stuff. But, we don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
So that leads to, not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but that leads perfectly into the question on screen. Shelly Swartz asked if there's a doorbell camera in the home. I'll add to that. Have you looked at any of the neighbors to try to match it up to her timeline, see if you can
Yeah.
get anyone with him coming home and see if it lines up? You have?
Well, we have. Unfortunately, that neighborhood is not the best neighborhood, and some people have cameras there that are not even functioning. They're just kind of decoys up there on their garage and whatnot. So at this point, all the neighbors that we went to that did have a camera, they didn't have anything. And by the time we arrived, it was already like, 7, 8 days after the fact. What we're finding out is a lot of the cameras, they kind of reset after like 7 days, depends on the setting. But nobody had any camera footage, around those neighborhoods. Um, even some of the gas stations, because across the street from the church was a Valero station, and they didn't have any footage. The QT gas station, you have to go through corporate in order to get footage. And now, because it's already 20 days later, I went there again yesterday, and they said we don't have it. It's too old. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense that nobody would have seen anything. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of every angle as we go through this. And so at least the one hope that I have, or one of the hopes I have, I should say, since it's so new, I'm hoping when we put this out that maybe someone will recognize him or it'll give us a lead. So be prepared for that. A lot of people get a lot of messages from these,
I mean, at this
which is
point,
obviously the main point of it.
yeah, I just want, like I said, if you know anything about this, I just want to know he's okay. Like, if this is a decision he made and he needs a time away or he doesn't want to connect with the family, I'll respect that. It's just, I just need to know he's alive.
Have
And
you
then,
tried to talk to any military buddies to see if that's the case?
he didn't really have any military buddies here because he came here and he only had family, very few friends and contacts that he had made, except for the girlfriend that was Army. And, she even said that he was pretty much, he stayed to himself. He had a few friends of the family, but all of them have, said that they haven't heard or seen from him. And, we did have one thing happen last night. It was a little odd. We went back to the grandma's house because, I keep scouring that area, daytime, nighttime, it doesn't matter what time, just to see if I see something. And a teenage girl that was living next door, she said, "Oh, I saw him. Are you looking for Sam?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And I was like, "Have you seen him?" And she was like, "Well, I saw somebody walking down the street, just a couple hours ago." She was like, "I think that was Sam. And when I called his name, he just kept walking." So I was like, "That's really strange." And, she told me it was like the red house on the corner. I had the police go and do a welfare check, and they went and they said, "No, he's not there. They don't know him." But, I found out that the police, even if they ask somebody and they say no, that's as much as they're going to do without any sort of evidence of a crime. You can't get a warrant for a search. You can't like do anything. And it's like so hard. Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't find any evidence of a crime.
Right. Huh.
So a private detective, I mean, would they be able to do any more than what SAPD is not able to do? I mean, will they? I don't know how this works.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of good and a lot of bad regarding them. It's tough. You get some PIs and they're fighting with each other, and some say they're better than other ones. And I've heard a lot of people say they do nothing. I've heard a lot of people say it was the most amazing choice they ever made, hiring one, and they solved it. So I don't know. I get nervous in that realm because for the first thing I'll tell you is some of them, sometimes you'll just get people who just want to help off of the strength of just being helpful. But then there are ones who went to school for it and like do it professionally, and those ones despise the ones who didn't, and they'll say things like, "Oh, it's illegal for that person to be crossing states," and so I don't really know where the legality stand and everything, so I get nervous recommending them, if I'm making sense, because
Yeah.
I've had PIs call and say, "Hey, you can't," so I really don't know. And some of them charge money, some charge lots of money. So I don't know. I don't want to be the person to recommend you into a bad situation. Is
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say.
I understand.
But I have heard a lot of positive too with PIs.
Right.
It might, I mean, it might not hurt to say, if you find a good one, say, "Hey, if you can bring me evidence and show me something, then I will do something for you. But you got to show me you can do something."
Right.
And I don't know.
I guess the other thing that's just breaking my heart is, I have a job and I have a home and I have two little boys, and they've been here with me the whole time. Me, my husband, and my two sons. We've been searching every day. And unfortunately, we have to go home. Like, I have to go home on Sunday. And I just feel like, once I leave, no one's going to do any of this work. And, the family that's here, they're searching. But it's just a few people, and I've been devoting and dedicating every day for 10 days to find him. And I'm so afraid, like, that nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
It's really hard.
Right. I'm praying that we can. Yeah, I'm praying that we can, when we get this out, get some people that are helping you. And I'm way up in Boston, so obviously I'm limited there what I can do. But if I was close, I would definitely be trying to help. But let's put this out. Let's see what kind of responses we can get. We'll take it from there, and then we can always look at PIs and things like that. Research them. Some people are recommending some in the chat. So when you come back and watch it, who knows? I think you said you talked to Tech Research, right? Because someone said,
Yeah.
Nate Folk says, I got it on screen there, she should contact Tim from Tech Research. Is that who you talked to?
Yeah, I did talk to Tim, and then I had Gene Robinson and his son bring out their truck with the drones. They did fly the lake, and initially, the grandma's description that he was wearing blue shorts. So their drone was specifically targeting like a blue color. But, even after flying the drones and not getting any real solid hits anywhere, they're willing to help, but they need more of a lead because this area is insane. Like, there's so much area here in Texas that's just fields and wooded area and little bodies of water everywhere. Um, I mean, I can understand like why you can't just send, dogs out because you don't know where to go. And, like we just, I swear I've done everything. I've gone every single place, and I just don't know where else to look. Like every day, I'm just going out doing the same thing over and over, and I'm not getting anywhere.
If anybody can help Lanay, guys, or know someone who can, I have her link for her profile, as well as her son's link for his missing page in Sam Reyes missing. Find Sam Reyes on Facebook. Please contact her, guys. And my heart is breaking right now. And I'm just limited as to what I can do up here. But I hope someone local is willing to give their time, or even if it's online, whatever you can do. If you have any ideas, guys, please contact her.
And I really appreciate all of you just listening. And, if you have any other ideas after this is over, please send me anything. I'm willing to just do whatever it takes. Like I'll go and I'll check everything that, you guys give me as an option. There's so many things that maybe I'm not thinking clearly, but I mean, I'm trying to be very strategic in like everything that I'm doing. And even like looking in dumpsters, like it's just really sad that I would think that maybe someone threw them in a dumpster, but today we looked in dumpsters and I just don't know. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, I think you're at that point. I'm so sorry, but I think you've done the right thing here, because we're going to get this out to a lot more people now, versus going on the street asking one or two people that you'll never see again. So I pray that this is going to lead to something. So I want you to stay in touch with me. Give this at least a few days, because it'll get a few thousand views at least over the next few days. So let's see if anyone contacts us regarding this. And can you stay in touch with me and let me know what happens from here?
Yes, sir, I will.
All right. And if this, like I said, I'm going to try to keep helping. A lot of people are recommending to go to local news stations, things like that. Everyone asking, what was the town exactly that he was last in?
He's in San Antonio, but it's in the area of Lakeside. It's on the east side of San Antonio.
Okay. All right. So let me show some more pictures, guys, and then I want to go over who you can contact to if you do have any tips. Again, her information for both Sam's missing page and her regular profile is in the description. Do you have a preference for which one of those they message you at?
No, either one is fine. I mean, I'm
Okay.
checking everything every day, so it's whatever they can do.
Okay, so you can contact her at any one of those guys. My information is also there, so you can also contact me as well. But I always say you want to contact the family and or authorities, obviously. I put my stuff there because I'm here to help. I'm more than willing, but it doesn't really make sense to just send something to me. The only time you would ever do that if maybe uncomfortable talking to the police or something. There are some people like that. So by all means, if I'm the only option, I will pass that along. But particularly if it's something time sensitive, like this one may be, you want to make sure you get it directly to Lanay and the authorities, because if you send it to me and I happen to not be online for the next 8 hours, you don't want that to happen. It's very, very important. So I would say if you're going to send it to me along with the authorities and Lanay. Don't send it just to me. But so let me pull up, what's the police department handling this? Do you have their number? Which police department would that be? So I can give it out.
It's
San Antonio.
Anyways, it's SAPD. The number is on the bottom. It's 210-207-7660. That's a missing person department at the SAPD.
Okay.
And I know his flyer and all of that is on Facebook. It's been shared on YouTube. I've had an amazing, group of people, strangers, that have just reached out to me and helped me. They even connected me with you, Jason.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you're going to get a lot more now from this, I can promise you. So
And
something's going to come through.
I feel very blessed that people are really just wanting to help. So thank you all for that.
Yeah, I'm sure you've went through periods where you feel like nobody cares and nobody's helping. So it's nice when you realize, oh my God, people do care. Because let me tell you something, that's something I realized on this channel. I expected to have a few people a day in here, and a couple months later, it's like hundreds. hundreds at a time. Every video I do, by the time I finish it, there's been like 1,000 people in and out, anywhere from 100 to 300 at a time. And I'm like, wow, a lot of people really care. These are people, and we get very few trolls. We get them, don't get me wrong, like any other channel. But for the most part, it's mostly people just trying to help, asking genuine questions. So you're not alone. There's a lot of people that are here to help. I promise you that. A lot of people asking about the church. Was he comfortable there? What was he doing there? What are your thoughts on it? So do you want to answer anything about the church?
Yeah, I'll tell you, because it's also disturbing, and it kind of ties into why I think that there was him under the influence. According to the gentleman that encountered him, he said that Sam was supposedly looking for his kidnapped cousin. He almost got hit in the middle of the road, that highway that he crossed, by this gentleman because he was wearing all black. And he said that my son pounded on the trunk of his car because he was startled that he almost got hit.
This is like a whole nother turn. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm like,
no, it's okay. It's just there's so many things that just are just disturbing, I guess.
Yeah.
But when he went ahead and crossed the street where this gentleman parked, and my son Sam insisted that he look in his car, look in different places because he was trying to find a kidnapped cousin. And I'm like, I don't know what kidnapped cousin he could be, referring to necessarily. But the gentleman said, he was not aggressive or anything. He just seemed like panicked, like he just really had to find somebody. And so the church was having a men's pancake breakfast that day. That's why they were there early on a Saturday. And, Sam came to the kitchen door. They let him in. That's where you see the footage. They said he walked in. He was like looking, he was wanting to open up, closets and walk through, the church area. And they accommodated that. He didn't look to be super frantic or anything like that, but, they allowed it. And then I guess after, the 10 minutes or so, they're like, look, bud, there's nobody here. You're going to need to go. And he just went out the same door that he came from. We saw him on the cameras just kind of walk through the parking lot, a little disoriented, kind of pacing back and forth until he got to the edge of the church property and ran across the highway.
Is that what he's doing in these photos that we have?
Yes, that's what he's doing in the photos. You see him in one picture walking into the kitchen. That's not the one, but you see right there, he comes into the kitchen door.
This is where he's looking for the kidnapped cousin, apparently?
Well, this is after he was in the parking lot wanting to look at that gentleman's car. And then he came to the door and said he wanted to check inside. And so you see they're following him. They're allowing him to walk through. You can see he has no shoes on. And then from that point, he just leaves. But, my frustration is if somebody came to a church like that, why didn't they call the police? Why didn't they call and say, we have this disoriented guy that's wandering around at this hour, wearing socks and no shoes? That really disturbs me. Why didn't they call? They would have had him right away. They would have been able to find him and see what's going on with him.
Yeah, this just opened up a whole new, I'm going to tell you something. This is going to need a part 2, I think. We're going to need to see what comes from this. Because now that that's really out there, now I'm like, what is going on here?
It's crazy. It's so much. And to uncover, if we didn't have that one lead, we wouldn't know any of this. Because remember, the grandma just thought she heard a knock at the door and he was just gone. Right. And the night before, he was apparently afraid that somebody was coming to get him. So I don't know. I mean, that's why I suspect, the paranoia, but I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, he had some kind of psychotic break, it sounds like, or something mental related. Something happened. I don't know. I don't want to. I'm no expert on that, so I can't. I don't want to use official words or terminology. But something happened. We need to have some people look at this interview, hear the whole thing, see his pictures. Some local people contribute. And would you want to come on and do a part 2 if we don't find him by then? Because we need to let this all marinate and let more people see this. Because I mean, honestly, this is one of the most confusing ones by far, especially now that this just came in at the end. I don't even really know where to take it from here. But I think if we get some more people in this and let this develop a little more, we could do a part 2 and really
Okay.
contribute.
I'm willing to do that. And hopefully, even though I have to go home, I'll still be
When are you
working.
leaving again?
I have to go home on Sunday. I have like just one more solid day to look.
What time on Sunday?
Probably around noon.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens tomorrow. Contact me. You can contact me anytime throughout the day. If something happened early, contact me early. But if we don't hear anything substantial by the nighttime, I'll speak to you at night and we'll see where we are from there about doing something maybe Sunday morning, or maybe we can just wait till you get home, or we'll see what works out best. But I want to see if anything comes from this. But tons of people sharing this all over Facebook. I don't know if you can see the chat, but
You can't
dozens
right
of
now.
people. No, okay. Yeah, I'm putting some of the things on the screen, but I mean, we've had hundreds and hundreds of comments and dozens of people sharing. So everyone, please share this on your Facebook wall or Instagram or anywhere that you can share it. And also, please like the video, guys. I don't know if you guys are aware of it. That's how YouTube works. When you like a video or leave a comment, it tells YouTube, oh, people like this video, because it's just YouTube isn't a person that goes, oh, I like this video, it's a good one. It's just a machine that says how many people liked the video, how many people commented on it. Oh, a lot of people liked it, must be good, let's recommend it to more people. So the more you like it and the more you comment, it tells YouTube to push this out to more people, so you get more eyes on it, and it's a circular, keeps on growing from there. So please share it and like it and comment and all that stuff. And if you have any questions that weren't answered, please put them in the comments below. What I would suggest, Lanay, is you're going to get a lot of, so you have the chat here, so where people have been asking questions live and commenting and things like that. But once we finish, sometimes it takes up to a few hours for the video to process. But once it does, there'll be a comment section at the bottom of the video, which is completely separate from the chat. So you're going to have a lot of people asking questions and leaving tips and stuff there. So I would say starting early in the morning, check that and keep an eye on that. Because sometimes you'll look and oh my God, somebody said they saw him at such and such place in the comments and it's been 8 hours. So who knows if he's still there. So keep a good eye on that. I will too, of course. But because I have I think this is like my 80th video now, 80th interview. It's a couple hundred videos in the channel, but it's like my 80th interview. I'm trying to constantly keep an eye, especially for the newer cases. But there's so many comments at this point. It's kind of hard for me to see them instantly. So I always tell people I interview, keep an eye on your video for the comments to see what people say.
Okay. I definitely will.
All right. And we'll stop this there, guys. Please, anything that wasn't answered or any tip you weren't able to get through, please put it in the comment section below when we finish. And we will leave it there. You did an absolutely amazing job. I can tell you, Sam's very, very proud of you. All right. And we're going to keep this going. You did an amazing job advocating for him tonight. You really did.
I love my son. I really love Sam, and I just want him to come home.
I know. Oh, I'm so sorry. I do this at the end. I just want to prepare you. This is usually the part where people get the most emotional. So I just want to give you a moment to take a deep breath before I say it. But I know you watched at least one of my videos, so you might know what we do here. But at the very end, I feel like it's the most powerful part of the interview. It's very important. So I'm going to put the camera directly on you, and I want you to speak directly to Sam if he is watching this, to get a message out to him, just in case for whatever reason he's deciding to be away, to need some time alone, or if he thinks maybe he's helping by being away. What would you like to say directly to him if he's watching this?
Sam, I know that, there's some circumstances behind why you're not here with us right now. And I just want you to know that I love you very much. And I've always been proud of you. And I just want to know that nothing terrible's happened. Just please find a way to get in touch with me or the family. And, we're here for you. We're here for you, and it'll be okay. I love you. I'm not going to give up on you. I'm going to keep looking until I find you.
Okay. All right. We will leave it there, Lanay. Again, you did amazing. Absolutely amazing. You couldn't have done better tonight. So I want you to be happy with that and be proud of yourself. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Let's see what develops from this. Okay, I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna say I pray every night, but I'm gonna include him in my prayers tonight, and we'll see what happens from there.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you too. Great job, and thank you to everyone in the chat. Please comment and subscribe if you would like to continue to help families such as this that desperately need your help. We do this multiple times per week. All right, guys, I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a heartbreaking episode, but I feel like something good's gonna come of this. So stay strong, Lanay, and I will talk to you shortly.
All right, thank you.
Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.